So immune system 101. So here's what it is. You have the innate immune system and then you have the adaptive immune system. The innate immune system is the first line of defense. This is the mucous membrane, the mucus that is released that traps in all the bacteria and the viruses, and also the immune cells do make an antibody called IgA. It's called the secretory immunoglobulin, and this is abundant in our saliva, in our mucous membrane lining the nose, respiratory tract, urinary tract, everywhere, gastrointestinal tract. And also there is another component of the innate immune system which is called the natural killer cells. Now, everything about the innate immune system is it's a widespread defense. So it's not specific. And this is the first line of defense when we are getting exposed to any noxious agent. And when I say noxious, meaning a harmful agent, it can be a virus, it can be a bacteria, it can be a fungus, it can even be toxins in our environment. They will all trigger our immune system, and it is our innate immune system that is the first line of defense. It causes us to have fever, it releases natural killer cells. Secretory immunoglobulin is binding to, it's a non-specific attack on whatever is trying to attack us. And most of the times, the innate immune system is able to prevent the virus or the bacteria from entering our bloodstream, because once it goes into the bloodstream, it's going everywhere, and we don't want that. But sometimes what it does, some of the, these viruses and bacteria do enter our bloodstream. It can happen, and at that point in time, we have the adaptive immunity, which is the B cells and the T cells. So both of them together, they provide the second line of defense, and which is more specific to the particular infection that we are fighting now. So B cells, B for body, antibody, they make antibodies. T cells, there are pro-inflammatory T cells and anti-inflammatory T cells. The big function of the T cells is to regulate the function of the B cells, but their job is also to make a memory of this particular virus or bacteria. Because remember, if we keep making antibodies in perpetuity, then we are going to be a walking, talking mess of inflammation, and we don't want that. So once the infection goes away, antibodies will come down. They have to come down. And then, but what happens is that the T cells will make a snapshot of what happened, and they will go as memory T cells into our lymph nodes and other aspects of our immune system. So if a similar or the same virus or a similar thing, which happens with the flu virus, when we get exposed to a similar agent, the memory T cells get activated, and the second time, innate immunity is the first line of defense, but this time, because we have had an immunological memory, very quickly the B cells will be activated and a very specific antibody is made. Which is why once you have a flu infection, your immunity against subsequent strains of the flu for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, even up to 5 years is going to be very good. So this is how the immune system works. And then of course within the T cells, there are also the T regulator cells, which are the anti-inflammatory component, because we cannot be in an activated inflammatory state forever, because that causes more problems, more damage. So the T regulator cells will dampen, bring this inflammation process down to an end. See, remember, there is always going to be creation, maintenance, and destruction. That is the whole cycle of life. And that has to happen even with regard to inflammation. Otherwise, we end up with chronic inflammation, which is the root cause of all diseases. Now let's look at what happens with vaccines. With vaccines, what we are doing is that we are taking the virus or the bacteria, we are inactivating it or killing it, and then we are injecting it into our bloodstream. Some of the vaccines are actually, they're put in the mouth or in the nose, which is, the idea there is that it is stimulating the innate immune system. But anything that you're injecting, it's going into the blood, and it is primarily activating your adaptive immune system, which is the antibody immune system. Now there are two issues with this. One, when you are injecting a dead or inactivated virus or bacteria, our body's intelligence knows that it's dead or inactivated, and it does not have to respond to it. So typically there is no immune response. So what we have to do then to get an immune response is to add an adjuvant, which is invariably in the form of a chemical agent that is going to aggravate or trigger or activate our immune system. And this is how most vaccines work. But the problem is that what if the detoxification capacities are not there? What are the long-term effects of injecting these toxins? And the second thing is that when you are injecting it into your bloodstream, you're not actually engaging the innate immunity, which is the first line of defense. You're only activating the adaptive immunity. And also, once it goes into the bloodstream, it's going everywhere. Body is protected from it because blood travels everywhere. It goes into the brain, it goes into your ovaries, it goes into your heart, it goes into your testes, it's going everywhere. So these are some very important things to remember. Now, when it comes to the shingles vaccine, and I don't understand the rationale for this. So you are somebody that had chickenpox in your childhood. I also had chickenpox. We have the virus in an inactivated form within our system. What's keeping it inactivated is our immune system that's putting a check on it. When will you have shingles is when your immune system is out of balance. Not a day before, not a minute sooner. When your immune system is out of balance, that is when you're going to get shingles. Now, what is going to keep your immune system in balance is good food, good nutrition, and detoxification. Because remember, along with viruses and bacteria, it's the toxins that also aggravate our immune system. So now, as a prevention for shingles, when they're giving these vaccines, which contain the live attenuated virus, chickenpox virus, but it also contains chemical adjuvants, which are going to aggravate your immune system, to my mind, it simply does not make sense. The best thing that you can do for your immune system is to keep it in a state of healthy balance, which is done by keeping your system detoxed, by making sure that you are nutritionally replete, especially with vitamin D and fish oil.